There is a space in my heart where I find the truth. I find me and you, a truth beyond what you may see now. But when we are one, we bring more good about. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. And be who you are and let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. See when new eyes allow and unfold, embrace and let go, trust the flow. There's a freedom in love when you follow your heart. Together we are stronger than we could ever be apart. No matter who or yourself or where you come from. Yeah, there is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love and welcome to peace. Welcome to our community. And be who you are and let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here, and you are welcome here. And breathe in and out. Slowly feel all that's around you, and all that you feel, and all that you know. Let it go. Welcome to love. Welcome to peace. Welcome to our community. And be who you are and let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. Yeah, when we unite. Oh, 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 when we unite. Yeah, yeah, when we unite. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. You are welcome here. Love is welcome here. And peace is welcome here. And you are welcome here.
Good morning. I am Al Shellman, a licensed practitioner here at the Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. Please join me in our collective affirmation for morning service. How I choose to think creates my personal experience. Therefore, I choose to think affirmatively. I choose to speak affirmatively. I choose to live affirmatively. Not only is this my right, it is my responsibility as a conscious being. I allow myself to be guided, used, and available for the reawakening of everyone's magnificence. The moment is now, and I say yes. 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 And together we say, and so it is.
The moment is now, and I say yes. Good morning, beloveds. Good morning, family. Thank you, Practitioner Al, for that beautiful call to service. And thank you, as always, to John Stringer for our opening song. We love that. It just gets us in the right mood for a magnificent day. Good morning to each of you, wherever you are tuning in from today. We welcome you live on Facebook and on YouTube. Please say hello in the chat and let us know where you are tuning in from. We're grateful for each and every one of you as we grow this community and create this experience together today. My name is David Alexander. I'm the spiritual director here, and it is my delight to welcome you to Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta, a community anchored in a 40-year history here in the greater Atlanta area, reaching out across the nation, people tuning in from all over the place, and committed to the vision of a world that works for everyone in partnership with our global community and affiliation with Centers for Spiritual Living. So thank you so much for tuning in today. Let me tell you about some things that are happening here, ways that you can connect, grow, serve, and give. First and foremost, our giving being in circulation is so important. we have been supported and sustained and fueled and funded by you, by each and every person who tunes in, whether you have been part of our regular contributing community that makes a contribution monthly, has it set up to come out automatically, pledger, if you will, in the old school, old church terms. We're so grateful for each and every one of you, and for everyone who chooses to either increase their gift or make a special gift, or you're tuning in for the first time, or maybe the first time in a long time. We welcome you here, and we invite you to be in the law of circulation. It's very easy. Just text the amount that you want to give to the number that's on your screen. Or if you want to use PayPal or some other method, those are available on our website as well. Please check our information out there. And we will do our grateful giving affirmation for all of the gifts that are coming in and supporting and sustaining us and allowing us to do this work a little bit later in the service. So thank you so much for contributing. Every Tuesday night, we have Twin Hearts Meditation with Reverend Ursula Lentini. She's been doing this for a very long time. She's one of our staff ministers, and we're so grateful for her presence and her service in this beautiful experience that you can tune into. If you're looking for some meditation space on Tuesdays, we've got it for you, 7 p.m. Eastern. Check the link in the chat for how to register and get the link for that. It is June. It is Pride Month, and so we want to send a big welcome and happy Pride to all of the members of our family on the spectrum and LGBTQIA+, everyone included. You belong here. We're grateful for you. We're grateful for SLCA's 40-year history of being a welcoming and affirming community. Amen. Can I get a little shout and hallelujah from somebody in the chat about that? This has been a big part of who we are for a very long time. We want to let you know there's a great training coming up from our friends at Transformation Journeys Worldwide called Being Strong Allies for Transgender, Non-Conforming, and Non-Binary People. This is kind of the new horizon of education that even those of us who consider ourselves allies and supporters of the LGBT community for a long time, continuing to educate ourselves and expand our horizon and awareness around language, non-conforming, non-gender conforming, non-binary, etc. The trans community, very, very important to continue that advocacy, that outreach, and that education of ourselves so that we can be strong allies. So check that out. That's happening a little bit later this week, I think on the 10th, as you'll see there. So register for that. This is also a great training. These guys are professionals who do this, and they do it all over the world. And so you can share this information with your company, with any association, group of professionals that you are connected to. This would be a great thing to share to them so that they could register as well. Let's spread the word on this training as far and wide as we can. Amen. Very good. All right. Adult Sunday happens every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. This is your opportunity to get together with a group of people who are serious about taking deep the study of the science of mind. They use the Science of Mind magazine as their guidepost and as their reflection and reading. So you can hop in anytime, any Sunday, and be guided in a rich conversation about the application of the principles. So check that out, Sunday mornings, 9 a.m. We have a community service project and event happening next weekend, Sunday, June 13th from 2 to 4 p.m. It is our Pet and People Food Drive. We do this, I think once a month. Yeah, but once a month. We partner up with our friends at the Unitarian Church here in Atlanta and partner with them to support food banks and this month, we're also including our pets. Last month, we collected 540 pounds of food, and we're grateful for everyone who participated. It's really easy. Just pick something extra up when you're at the grocery store, canned goods, an extra bag of pet food, something like that, and put it in your car and bring it by from 2 to 4 p.m. On Sunday the 13th. Let's see if we can beat the 540 pounds this month. Let's get over 600. How about that? All right. We have practitioners available today for you for prayer if you are in need of upliftment, encouragement, support, and in any way. Please reach out. Let us know. Just let us know in the chat that you would like prayer support today. We have practitioners standing by ready to serve. These individuals have been trained and studied and steeped in the art of affirmative prayer, and can really help and assist you today if you just let us know what's on your heart and mind. All right. I think that is all that we have for announcements today. We're so excited again that it is Pride Month, and we'll be broadcasting from the sanctuary very soon at the end of this month. And next month we will begin gathering together again. So many things to look forward to. Thank you for being a part of today's service. Let's have a great one together. You belong.
Good morning, rise and grind, great day, SLCA family, my tribe. Glad to be here with you all today and share some of my creative inspiration with you all today. All right, here we go. The piece I call We Gotta Choose Love. All right. Don't let your words stop you from talking to who you love. We gotta choose love. It's like a muscle, so let's flex it. Don't neglect it, but respect it. Keep my head high to the sky while I profess this. My words shall heal many and bless plenty. I learned to share what was in me. I plan to share what was in me. I plan to leave this world empty as the whole world feels me. Realizing there's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now, and it's worth it. Put my hands to this plow and I focus. Pull by the pain. And I know, excuse me. Hold on. Let me correct this. Don't let your words stop you from talking to who you love. We gotta choose love. It's like a muscle, so let's flex it. Don't neglect it, but respect it. Keep my head high to the sky while I profess this. My words shall heal many and bless plenty. I learned to share what was in me. I plan to leave empty as the whole world feel me. Realizing there's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now, and it's worth it. Put my hands to the plow when I'm focused. Pulled by the pain, much to gain, and I know this. Wise words of Akbar, be positive regardless. Feed your faith while you leave your fears starving. United, we stand up together, we rise. Captivated by the truth, let it open your eyes and realize it's our time and we gotta shine. SLCA, thank you for this time, allowing me to light you all up this morning. Peace and love.
Lighting the flames of faith. We perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all people in all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. We light a candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light a candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light a candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light a candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light a candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light a candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light a candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light a candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light a candle for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. We light a candle for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and the presence of Spirit in their lives, and for the space that we are holding for them at this center, and for all religions unnamed in this ceremony.
Good morning, SLCA family. My name is Deetra Johnson, and I proudly serve as a practitioner here at the Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. So what I'd like to do is, first of all, share with you an Ernest Holmes quote that is in alignment with this month's theme, which is the soul's call. Ernest Holmes wrote, "The soul is the creative medium of spirit. It contains the memory because it is the receptacle for the seeds of our thought. Because it is the seat of memory, it contains our inherited tendency." That is a quote from Ernest Holmes. So what I'd like to do is have you join with me in this moment. Just take a deep breath as I do a spiritual mind treatment, also known as an affirmative prayer. I will do this prayer in first person and allow yourself to accept the words that I speak as your very own. So join with me with this breath, with this one breath, acknowledging that God is. Just breathe that in, that God is. God is all that there is. That absolute power, that absolute energy that is in back of all things, called by many names, Yahweh, Jehovah, Allah, but there is only the one power, the one presence. So in this breath, in this now moment, I acknowledge that the breath that I breathe unifies me with that one power, that one presence. I am one with it and it is one with me. This is true for myself and this is true for everyone. I know that that power and that presence truly is breathing me. I acknowledge my unification with all life. That unification may show up in many different ways in the smell of the magnolia tree. It may show up in the ocean waves touching my feet. I am connected with God and throughout all of nature. So it is in this unifying knowingness that I am one with it and it is one with me that I speak forth my word with power, because the power comes from the presence of the divine spirit that is within me. Thank you, God. So right here and right now, I am so grateful to know that my soul's calling is open to receive. My intentions are clear, and I am living the vision of God because my heart is open. Thank you, God. So right here and right now, knowing that I am this clear channel of the divine, I allow my intentions to be pure because I am that clear channel. The law of attraction is activated within my soul. So it is with this knowingness, with this gratitude of knowing that God and I are one, and I am being pulled by God's vision, that I release this word in gratitude, knowing that I am grateful to know that I am that clear channel, and that the Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta is a channel for me to continue to evolve in the knowingness that Spirit and I are one. So with this knowingness and from this place of gratitude, I release this spiritual mind treatment, this affirmative prayer into the law of action, knowing that it is done. I let it be, and so it is.
So it is. Thank you. Thank you. Practitioner Deidre Johnson from Florida. I want you all to know that we have practitioners in Florida and in Chicago, and we have some others coming from other parts of the country to join us as well. We are a global community, and we are a community that has participants tuning in, not just participants, but active members and pledgers and practitioners from all over the United States. And we're so grateful for that. I'm just still feeling the beauty of that prayer. So good, so good. Thank you, thank you. Good morning, beloveds. This is a new month. This is Pride Month, as we mentioned in the announcements. We want to again extend our celebration and affirmation to everybody in the LGBTQIA+ community. We see you, we love you, we honor you, we thank God for you. We affirm and know that you have always been and will always be a sacred part of God's family and a part of the SLCA family. As we celebrate throughout the month and look for wonderful ways to do that, we join in this theme this month, the soul's call. The soul's call, anchored in there by that beautiful prayer by Deidre and the wonderful quote from Ernest Holmes, the soul's call. And today we're going to take an interesting journey and topic to look at this notion of our awakening process and what the role of our journey with pain is. You might remember last week, and even though last week was a different theme, the themes are just sort of guideposts, right? And it all really flows together. And I love when my messages connect from one week to the next. So last week I was talking about the power of creating a new story, right? Living a bold new vision, a bold new story. And I said one of the first steps was to understand our journey with our wound, right? Or with our history, which often contains our wounds. So another way of to say that this week would be to look at the pain, to look at the places that have caused us pain in our life. Now, that's not something that we often want to do, right? It's not something that we often want to do, even in spiritual context. You tuned in today, so I want to be happy, right? I want to be lifted up. I want to be inspired. I hope that still happens too, even through this particular take. It was Carl Jung who said, those who look outside dream. Those who look inside awaken. We want to be about our spiritual awakening. Answering our soul's call is about a spiritual awakening from within. And that awakening is a intimate and challenging and an exponentially powerful, beneficial work that invites us to dive deeply into daily reflection of who we are and who we're becoming. We're called, you and I, we're called to awaken, not merely to dream, but to awaken. It's in our mission statement of our organization, that the Centers for Spiritual Living and locally SLCA, that we are called to awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence, to awaken humanity, not just ourselves, but humanity, all of us together, to awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence. You may have heard the phrase that I believe is attributed most often to my friend and mentor, Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith from Agape, that says that we can either be pushed by pain or pulled by vision. Right? Pushed by pain or pulled by vision. Now, when you hear that, immediately you want to say, oh, I want to be on the side that's pulled by vision. Yeah, sign me up for that. How do I get pulled by vision, right? And of course, Michael Beckwith has the life visioning process, and we practice visioning as one of our spiritual tools. And of course, yes, we want to move in the direction of being pulled by vision, right? But there is something about understanding how life pushes us by pain. Where it pushes us is what I want to focus on today, how it pushes us. And to unpack and uncover that and not simply gloss over, skip over it, right? If we tune into the news, or we watch any TV, or pay attention to the marketing, what we see is that we have a very interesting relationship with pain, right? As a body, as a people, as a consciousness in this country, a very interesting relationship with pain. It's all about relieving the pain, reducing the pain, eliminating the pain, killing the pain, right? I mean, you think about, take this and it'll kill the pain, do that and it will reduce the pain, do this and it will eliminate the pain. But what if actually we needed to take a journey to embrace the pain? It seems somewhat out of place to even say it in a tradition, in the New Thought tradition that has so often kind of prided itself on being the Be Happy church, right? We're the place of positivity. We're the place of affirmations. We're the place of, kumbaya and hold hands and sing, and it's a great experience. And people come into our centers all across the country, and they all say the same thing. I felt at home, right? I found my tribe. I cried. People say I sat in the back and I cried the whole first year, right? Because I just felt welcomed, and I heard things about God and spirituality that I always felt, but I never knew there was a group of people who thought like that, right? How many of you have a story that has some of those elements in it? Most of us do. And so we have been for, decades, the kind of this be happy place. So much so that if we can kind of, talk about our dirty laundry here a little bit, right? We got so into the vibration of being the Be Happy church that we almost, not almost, we did. We created it as kind of our own version of a sin, to not be happy, right? To not be entangled in the ways of life that entangle us in mess and in drama and in pain, right? That if we were not feeling well, whether it was physically or mentally or emotionally, we would actually, get this, not go to church, right? I remember I would hear people and not see them for weeks or months, and they say, "Where were you?" "Oh, I was going through some hard stuff." I remember thinking as a minister, when I came into ministry 17 years ago, I thought, wait a second, that's the wrong time to disappear from church, right? If you're going through some stuff, you need to be in the front row. If you're going through some stuff, you need to be connecting with the practitioner. If you're going through some stuff, you need to be calling me. If you're going through some stuff, you need to show up, right? But we kind of created this culture where it was the Be Happy place. And so people didn't want to bring their non-happiness into the space because they didn't want to bring others down, right? Or they didn't want to be judged, or whatever it was, right? And I think slowly we're beginning to unravel that and reverse that by being a community that is committed to the full authenticity of our spiritual experience. I pray and hope that is becoming more normalized. That if you wake up and you're not in a good space, you come anyway. You come especially, right? Or you tune in and you reach out and you connect. That's so vitally important, right? Because the truth is that we all have painful parts of our journey. God doesn't know big or small, so it doesn't matter, if the pain is from a big trauma or abuse or something huge, or something small and something that we might consider somewhat trivial, especially as time goes on and it becomes less and less of a big thing. It doesn't matter, big or small. We've all gone through parts of our journey that have been painful. But I said last week that the first part of writing a bold new story was understanding the journey with our wound. There's a new series right now on Netflix. I think many of you have probably watched it, and I'm early on watching it. I've only watched the first two episodes, but it's called High on the Hog. High on the Hog, Netflix. Highly recommend. If you haven't watched it yet, please watch it. It's about African American cuisine and where it came from and the traditions and how it influenced all of America and our culture and cuisine. And it's incredibly well done with a lot of rich history. The cinematography is amazing, and of course the food and the history is really wonderful. And in the first episode, how many people watched High on the Hog already? I know a lot of people are watching it. The first episode was all about our roots, and the host goes back to Africa to trace his steps and his roots, and it's all about that journey with our wound, embracing, not trying to reduce, kill, eliminate our pain, but embrace it, confront it, acknowledge it, be with it. Right. So the topic today, pushed by pain, is an invitation to say, what if we didn't avoid our pain, but we embraced it as that invitation to higher consciousness, to deeper love, the opportunity to be more resolute in our faith and in our action. I think we got off track when we started teaching that we were to not look at negative feelings. Now, I grew up in this tradition. I've been in the New Thought tradition my whole life, 40 plus years. And I remember hearing that and learning that and the culture around that don't focus on the negative, don't engage in negative thinking because you'll produce more of that. And these are things that, as I've developed the depth and the maturity of my faith in this teaching, I've come to understand my relationship with those ideas as being forms of interplay with our theology and philosophy that are at what I call the shallow end of the pool. And I don't mean shallow in a judgmental way. I mean it simply in a descriptive way. We have the shallow end and we have the deep end. And in the shallow end, the water is warm and comfortable and it's easy to get in and it's a playful space. And then the deeper end, it requires more skill and the ability to hold our breath and tread water and more skill and muscle in the deeper end because we dive deeper into the truths. In the shallow end of the pool, we say, don't think about negative things, don't have negative thoughts, have this push away relationship with the pain and the negativity of the world. And in every class that I teach, people bring up the question, well, what about? I would start with foundations, and week 1 is all about God is all that there is, right? God is all that there is. There's not a duality. There's not God and the devil. There's not light and darkness. There's just light, and then the absence of light. But that is just that's just the absence of that which is the only thing that there is. So God is all that there is. Right? The darkness has no substance of its own. As soon as you bring light into a room, the darkness dissipates, right? And there's always somebody who raises their hand and says, yep, but David, what about all the pain in the world? What about the Holocaust? What about the genocide? What about slavery? What about, and there'll be something current in the news. What about this tragedy or that tragedy, the mass shooting? What about Sandy Hook? What about Charleston? What about, you fill in the blank, right? And in the shallow end of the pool, and I'll admit to all of you that for a long time, what I taught was at the shallow end of the pool was simply a matter of perspective, which is to say, well, first of all, we're always judging those experiences as bad or wrong, and we don't always know. And so we have to pause our judgment, suspend our judgment, and it's like the old story that says there's an old man who's a farmer and he's out tending to his field, and one day a wild horse comes, stallion comes riding into his pasture, and his neighbor comes by and he says, "Where'd you get that horse?" He says, "Oh, it just it was wild, it was loose and just came, and so now I have this horse." And the neighbor says, "Oh, how lucky for you, how wonderful." And the farmer says, "We'll see." right? Not labeling it positive or negative. He just says, we'll see. And then he uses, the horse for plowing and all of these things. And then his son is riding the horse. And one day his son falls off the horse and breaks his leg. And the neighbor comes by and says, what happened? We heard something happen. He says, oh, my son fell off the horse, broke his leg. He said, oh, how terrible, how awful, how unfortunate for you. And the father says, we'll see. And the next day, the army comes through town recruiting all able-bodied young men. And so his son's not able to go to fight the war or the battle because he's got a broken leg. And the neighbor comes by again and says, oh, how lucky that your son broke his leg. And the father says, we'll see. Right. That first layer of understanding our relationship with what we would call negative or painful in the world is that idea of questioning our own judgments, right? And suspending them a little bit to give us some space of that we'll see. But I realized early on in my teaching, as I continued to move from one end of the pool to the other, to dive deeper, that was just one layer of practice with pain. It was not the whole story. It was not the depth of our teaching. There was more to be discovered. Because you can see very quickly, while that might be useful on a personal level, it could be very dismissive, right? For me to look at, it's Pride Month, so I'll use the example of the violence against transgendered folks, right? And for somebody to bring a news story and say, oh, this person was, killed because they were transgendered, and for me to say, oh, well, we'll see whether that's good or bad, right? Or Sandy Hook, or Michael Brown, or Trayvon Martin, or George Floyd, or any of that, right? To respond to that and go, well, we'll see. It can be very dismissive. It can be very arrogant. It can be very non-connected to the pain and the reality of the moment. And so it turns out it's not a very adequate communal practice. It might be a good personal practice, right? It's not a very adequate communal practice. And so we have to go deeper. We have to say, how is it, if we say, if God is everything, how is it that God is in this too? Right? Ernest Holmes reminds us that there is this question which naturally arises. Why all the suffering, sorrow, and pain? Why has tragedy accompanied the journey of man or humanity? There is no other way through which the true individuality can evolve. He says, man must be, or humanity must be, let alone to discover themselves, else to be compelled arbitrarily to follow one road, in which case would lead to an automation, but not to an individual. When our life is not working the way we would like, pain invites us to revisit our purpose and consciously redirect our path. And so I want to go a little bit deeper today and say, what are the communal practices? How do we hold this idea that we can be pushed by pain? And how is that good for us in many ways? And one is that pain is the perfect fertilizer for our life, right? It's the context in which we learn what we like, what we don't like. It's the context in which if we really embrace it, we discover things that we would not otherwise discover about the depth of who we are, about our capacities, about our strengths. Right? I often say it's the seed that must be broken in order for the tree or the root or the fruit of the tree to come out. Right? It's the bread that is broken in communion, the body of Christ. It's the water that must be broken in birth. Right? It's the egg must be broken to be fertilized. Right? Brokenness or that what we would describe as painful experiences of life are often the things that allow us to expand into a greater awareness of what we're capable of and who and what we really are. The second awareness is that pain is not a punishment, right? Pain is not a punishment. I would invite you, if you have any painful things happening in your life, or you've had painful things happen in your life, to stop thinking about them in ways that you criticize yourself, that you must have done something wrong, that you must have done something to deserve it, that you must have, whatever it is, right? Pain is not a punishment. It's an invitation. It's an invitation. It's an invitation to go deeper. It's an invitation to understand. And that leads us to our third. So pain is great fertilizer. Pain is not a punishment. And third, pain is your pathway. It's a pathway in which we get to understand ourselves. See, here's the deal. Pushed by pain, when we really understand that phrase, what we understand is that pain is not a separator. Let me say that again. Pain is not a separator. It's actually a connector. Whew. I hope you can catch that today. Pain is not a separator. It's actually our consciousness, our activity, our thinking and ways of being and behaving before the pain, in which we are acting as a separate entity, disconnected from the whole. And that behavior, that egotism, that rugged individualism, that isolationism, that independent self, that is the behavior that then triggers the pain. But the pain is a trigger, and it's a reminder. When you touch something hot, painful, right? It's a trigger. It's a signal to your brain that says, stop doing that behavior, right? But pain is also a connector. Why? Because we are being pushed back into community. We're being pushed back into awareness. We're being pushed back into to that which connects us to all of humanity. James Baldwin said it this way. I hope you can catch what I'm saying here. And James Baldwin said it this way. He said, you think your pain and your heartbreak are unprecedented in the history of the world. But then you read. You think your pain and your heartbreak are unprecedented in the world, in the history of the world, but then you read. It was books, he said, that taught me the things that tormented me were the very things that connected me with all of the people who were ever alive and who had ever been alive. It was books that taught me the things that tormented me the most were the very things that connected me with all of the people who were ever alive and who had ever been alive. Pain, we're pushed by pain, but the question is, where are we pushed? Are we pushed away? Right? When life brings us pain, do we get pushed away and disconnect from community? Or are we being invited and pushed back into community to where we can show up in community and say, this is what is breaking my heart right now? And inevitably, in that power of that vulnerability, somebody else in the circle will say, I've been there. I know what you're talking about. I feel you. I see you. You see, I think our dysfunctional relationship with pain is solely not because pain is bad, right? Not because we should seek to eliminate it or kill it or destroy it or reduce it, right? But because we've been pushed in the wrong direction by pain. We've allowed pain to push us away, when the invitation from pain is to push us towards, right? We see what happens when a George Floyd moment happens. The pain is so real for all of us that we get pushed towards each other. We cross boundaries. We begin to march in the streets together. We begin to form alliances. I called that moment the Edmund Pettus Bridge moment of this generation, right? Because the Edmund Pettus Bridge moment was that when the TVs turned on and white Northerners saw the police beating people and the horses and people being chased and billy clubs and all that was happening, right? There was a pain that struck a nerve. And they said, that can't be happening. That can't be real, right? We must do something. When the pain pushes us towards each other, then it sparks something that allows us to be activated into social engagement, into social justice, into awakening to our spiritual magnificence. Because it is, in fact, the behavior, it's the numbing behavior of isolation that brings us the moments of pain. But pain is not the bad guy in that scenario. Pain is the invitation to come back together, you see. Ooh, ooh, that's good. I hope you can catch that today. I hope you're catching what I'm saying. Why is it? Watch this. Why is it that Thomas, the disciple Thomas, when Christ appears, Thomas says what? He says, I don't believe it. I gotta touch the wound. I've got to put my hand, I've got to see the wound, and I've got to put my hand in the place where the nail was. What is that metaphysically? But a connection to the pain so that I know that it's real. Then I will know I've seen the Christ. Right? And what is the Christ but a consciousness of connection, a consciousness of communion, a consciousness of inclusivity? When I see and feel the pain of the world, then I will know I am part of you and you are part of me, you see. We must connect. Yes, pain pushes, but it pushes us back together when we have drifted apart. The pain of those lost to COVID should push us to build a better world where science matters, and science is not a political football. Right? The pain of the AIDS crisis, of Stonewall, of transgender violence, of the LGBT youth suicide should push us together, push us in so that we build coalitions and trainings like the one happening this week with Transformation Journeys Worldwide on June 10th, that we educate ourselves and we build coalitions and communities of welcome and affirmation, and we build communities of resilience, and we build communities that lift up our youth, and we seek to eliminate the bullying and all of and the violence. The pain of those lost to police violence should push us together and cause us to seek a more just world. A world in which unconscious bias in our police departments and in our cities and in our policies is checked and examined and worked on consciously so that we might eliminate it, right? Pain pushes us into ought to push us into the streets and into the voting booths to make a difference. The spiritual leader of our organization, the Reverend Dr. Edward Vilhun, wrote this statement today in regards to several things happening in the world, focused on today's theme. I want to read it to you. He says, Centers for Spiritual Living Communities worldwide begin the month of June with the weekly theme, Pushed by Pain. All around the world, on any given day, the pain is real, visceral, palpable, and it points to the truth that we are living in a time of great transformation. We are both the agents of healing transformation and the ones impacted by that transformation. As such, we have the opportunity to lean into our transformational power of our emotions so that we can make our way through our inherent wholeness, our way to our inherent wholeness. This is especially important when we hear about the atrocities that have been committed across generations and nations, from the Nazis and the Holocaust to the brutality of the Khmer Rouge in Cambodia, South African apartheid, the Tulsa Greenwood massacre, and very recently the discovery of 215 bodies of Indigenous children in Canada, which exposed the systemic racism and cultural genocide that happened there. A discovery of this magnitude feels not only unbelievable, but unbearable. It is until we know the depths of our feeling that we can put into practice what our teaching declares, There is nothing to heal, only truth to be revealed. So what is the truth here that wants to be revealed? What is the consciousness that is calling to be shifted? How do we lay the foundation of a world that indeed does work for all and not just for a select few? Let us each ask ourselves, each other, these questions and use our dialogue to access the true healing power of our teachings. Pain pushes, but it pushes us together so that we might see each other, we might know each other, and we might connect with each other in ways that are real and visceral through the human experience, to create bonds and connections and alliances and community that says, I've got your back and I know that you've got mine, and we are in this together, so that we can indeed be pulled by a vision of a world that works for everyone. My friends, today I invite you to look back on your past, any painful experiences you have been. Invite yourself to see, where was that pushing me? How is that pushing me in rather than pushing me away? How can I embrace my relationship with it such that it becomes my teacher? And I become a revealer of greater truth and wholeness. I become an advocate for more justice and peace in the world, because I know what it's like to be on the other side. That is what it's all about when we say you belong at SLCA. That is what it's all about when we say we're committed to awakening humanity to its spiritual magnificence and building a world that works for everyone. My beloveds, we see you, we hear you, we thank God for you. Wherever you are, God is. Peace and blessings.
Wow, Reverend David, that was a powerful message. Thank you so much. It is important for us to embrace the pain because it truly pushes us together as a community. So, thank you so much for that message. And now is the time for you to embrace the law of circulation. We have many ways to support the Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. You may give by text at 404-800-9467, or you may give online as well at our website. Thank you so much. I know that you enjoyed that message and that you feel spiritually fed. So, Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta would love to be your point of circulation. So, now if you will join with me as we say our grateful giving affirmation. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all that I share with life returns to me, multiplied abundantly. And so it is. Peace and blessings, everyone. Have an awesome week.